we're accidentally on.
Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman, live on YouTube.
We're all over the place. Look at us. We're wonky. There we go. But we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTube. We're professionals here. Professional
That's right.
podcasters.
It's Sunday morning, brunch with the BDE on a rare earlier occasion.
Look, this is fucking early for us.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
11 a.m.
Yeah.
Still morning.
It's morning. It's super morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
It is hot. Yeah.
Sticky.
This week has been bizarre, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 3 seasons per day at the moment.
Wear a jacket one day, the next shorts.
And the sun has been out most of the week, and
Yeah.
we've got a lot of windows here in the BDE towers, which means you wake up and it's like a greenhouse, and we're like, oh, it's hot. It's a glorious day. You get your shorts and t-shirt on, you go outside, and it's 5 degrees. This is weird.
Yeah.
I need to change.
We're in the weird switching of the seasons, changing of the seasons mode. But yeah, summertime is here now, and it's hot in here. But we're recording this on a Sunday morning. Welcome, Poisonrana. Yes, we are back, and we thought we'd give a little kind of preview show for what's to come next weekend with lots of things going on. So we're gonna dive into the whole world of professional wrestling. And hey, thanks for being here, wherever you may be.
You're welcome, Braden. Thanks for being here as well.
Thanks for being here too. We got up early, so we both made it. Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. Like I said, it's a little hot, so I can't really complain about that. I still prefer the heat over like snow. So.
Oh yeah. And if you listen to upNXT, we were talking about the heat and podcasting, and Manscaped works. It's been pretty good.
What do you mean
I've ditched the talcum powder.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have you tried?
Ball deodorant.
Ball deodorant?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
It is.
Wait, Manscaped.
It's like a cream thing. Yeah.
You bought this in a store?
I forgot I had it.
Oh.
I got like a free trial kit from Manscaped, and then like 3 months later, I'm like, shit, I need to cancel this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
No,
Okay.
it's been doing the trick.
I'll say actually, because those guys do some Manscaped stuff, and we are not yet. We could be, but we're just lazy. But Way gave me a bunch of stuff for like my beard and stuff, and I'd say their stuff is pretty good too so far. I was like, oh, okay, they're legit.
We're not very good at this advertising thing, because I
No.
feel we promote so much stuff on this show and get nothing for it.
Yeah,
Talk
we
about
talk about
Manscaped, talk about seltzers.
White Claw,
Yeah.
Ninja Creamy.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
So
No one's paying us, guys. Like,
advertisers,
yeah.
let us know. What are we saying?
But, guys, there are ways you can support us, Patreon.com/PoisonRana.
We completely support ourselves with you guys. We have a Patreon. That's how we support ourselves, and that's kind of what we've been going on. So yeah, thanks for anyone who out there who does support us, and you can support us too. It's only $5.
Yep.
For a month. Patreon.com/PoisonRana, and you get access to like all the podcasts in that like catalog, all the Patreon shows we've been doing for the past few years. So it is a bang for your buck.
Yeah, we've had some great shows on there recently. We had WH Park join us last week to talk all about the greatest matches of Keiji Muto. Yes, we did a great Muta best match ever, but it was time to look at him, without the face paint,
right,
and more in his serious wrestler mode. And that was a fantastic chat with WH. We've had quite a bit of good feedback on that, and all the links to all the matches we talk about are there on our Patreon for you to watch for free. So go and check that one out.
We love our nerdy wrestling book club podcast friend group thing that we do. It's a lot of fun, and WH knows his shit, and having him on for Muto was a lot of fun, and dissecting and reviewing and that. Another show we have Was Next out, the January 1st, 2014 edition of NXT, featuring Sami Zayn versus Leo Kruger, 2 out of 3 falls. Also featuring Aiden English versus Big Cass.
Yep.
in a sing-off.
Oh, yeah.
From NXT.
Oh, Danny boy.
And a bunch of other stuff.
Also featuring us trying to figure out what kind of trouble we got up to on New Year's Eve 2013 into 2014.
Yeah, real was next listeners know that we do a tweet digging thing when we look back, and it was New Year's, and we found out that you got lit and recorded voice notes about kebabs.
Yep.
And I had a stage 5 clinger.
Yes.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for you guys to hear
how
that
things
one.
change, how they stay the same.
Exactly.
Right? We're also going to be joined by Chris Thunder from Down Under this week in a new episode of Up Yours, where we're going to be talking about ROH Elite from November 11th, 2017.
Yeah, so kind of fitting with AEW Double or Nothing next weekend, kind of the Elite theme there. Ring of Honor still, a lot of the wrestlers on that show are now still in AEW or Ring of Honor. So we're going to take a look back at that. We'll have a feedback thread up with the link to that. I think it's on Honor Club.
Honor Club, yes.
Yeah, Honor Club. Wow, cool.
So go check that out, and then, check out Gringo Loco versus Ray Phoenix while you're at it.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. So lots of podcasts out over on the Patreon, and then we're actually cooking some stuff up this summer with lots of fun shows because of we're going to different things, we're doing different things. There's Wembley, we're cooking up some fun ideas, and we might be finishing some podcast adventures that we haven't quite.
We've got a few loose ends, haven't we? That
exactly.
need tying up. So we're going to tie up those loose ends in the next couple of months. Kind of makes sense. We like picking certain films or pay-per-views or whatever that kind of tie into what's going on current day. So I think we're going to be finishing our sort of Batman series next month.
What do you mean finishing? The Flash is out next month.
Yeah, for now, exactly. Yeah. And then going into sort of Wembley season, feels like a good time to wrap up our James Bond, Daniel Craig story as well. So that coming up. Also, on the Patreon, I just recorded yesterday with Scrump.
Yeah.
Talking about episode 8 of season 4 of Succession, Election Night. Another great episode. Great chatting with Scrump. I realized I haven't talked to him since Power Rangers Turbo review.
Wow.
How, from the sublime to the ridiculous there with these two.
Yeah, I mean, Turbo's just amazing.
Oh, yeah. And 2 episodes left of Succession. I'll be joined by JP Houlihan next week to talk about episode 9, and then we'll be doing a free season finale show with some very, very special guests.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Are you caught up yet?
Almost.
Okay.
I'm 2 or 3 episodes behind.
Okay.
Could be maybe
you can
3
do
or
it.
4.
You can
I can definitely do it. Yeah.
I've booked you for the show.
Yeah. I'm a special guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll finally get to hear me to talk about the Disgusting Brothers. That's all I'm going to bring to this conversation.
It's fine. Once it's a finale, it's you can't really talk about it. It's that was good.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
So I don't know. It would be good. I've been loving this show, and it's really refreshing to just talk about something completely different every week and with different people.
Now, how pissed are you, and I'm sure a few others out there that are Succession fans, that it's the same night as Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
And the same night as NXT Battlegrounds. So therefore, you're not only trying to avoid spoilers for whatever wrestling pay-per-view you're not watching, and now on top of that, Succession. So you're just not going to be on your phone.
No, or have to very strategically sort out Twitter,
Yeah, what are the recommendations, people? If we're trying to use social media, but we don't want to get spoiled. I don't really care about getting spoiled for NXT.
NXT not so much.
Whatever.
I mean, I'd prefer to be spoiler free, but it would be that's kind of the reaction if I see a spoiler. Okay. Succession, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, true.
So all that coming up. It is Double or Nothing next week. We do have some events coming up in the city. We're doing another watch party at Gabby's, 309 King Street West, where we're going to be playing Double or Nothing at the bar. Come along. Tickets are $7 on Eventbrite. Just go to Poisonrana.ca, pick up your tickets. Would be great to see as many of you there as possible.
Yeah, any Toronto area fans, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Obviously, we're doing this Double or Nothing watch party next weekend. Gabby's, come hang out. It's cheap. We're going to watch wrestling and hang out with some fans. I know a few of our friends are already going to show up and hang out, so it'll already be fun. Of course, the Forbidden Pour later in June, June 25th with John Way, Davie, and myself. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Thank you, everyone who's already got a ticket.
We get the notifications every time someone buys a ticket, and I'm amazed. These tickets are flying. You figure, you put something on sale, the first couple of days, you shift a few tickets, and then it kind of quietens down until the event. These are still moving. Pretty much every day I'm getting a notification that someone's bought a ticket.
Right.
So don't leave it too late. There is a limited amount, especially for like the pre-podcast before the event. It's going to be a hell of a day. Real Sports is pretty much attached to the Scotiabank Arena. Yeah. It is the closest bar to the arena. Awesome looking sports bar. We've got it from 3 p.m. Before Forbidden Door. John and Way will be doing a live show. We'll be doing one of our live games. Be a chance to have some nice drinks throughout the day, some food, and then you can join us after because we have karaoke immediately after Forbidden Door where you'll get to sing all your favorite wrestling songs.
Yeah, we've sold so many tickets that we're like, hey, we should just get a karaoke DJ so that none of us have to do that. So we got like one of the craziest DJs from Toronto to host it too.
He's going to be so much fun. I think this guy already is a bit wacky. You add like the wrestling step on it as well. I think this is going to be pretty wild.
So yeah, we're cooking some fun stuff up in the city. Also, if you're in the city, Demand Lucha the Thursday following, the night after the Hamilton show. I think it's June 29th. That show looks absolutely stacked in Parkdale in Toronto. We will be there. So shout out Demand Lucha because that's going to be nuts. But go to demandlucha.ca for all the links for there because we're going to be there and I know they're promoting that huge 4-way match. That's going to be nuts.
It's always a great show, Demand Lucha. Again, like we're not getting paid for this. We just genuinely love this promotion. It's so much fun. GCW came here recently and honestly, I was pretty disappointed with it. And I was like, man, Demand Lucha regularly put on a way better show than that.
Yep.
And they've got some great talent there, both homegrown and imports. And I think this thing's going to be like rocking. Like the last show we went to was packed.
Couldn't move. It was crazy.
Yeah, I
John
feel
Pollock
this is going to be
a wild time.
Busier, yeah.
Yeah. That's also going on in the city. Lots of wrestling in the city. We'll definitely talk about like the Collision and stuff like that as well, announcements. But yeah, if you are planning Forbidden Door weekend, we got you. We got a lot of stuff going on that weekend, so we're gonna have a lot of fun. Poisonrana.ca for all the links of everything that we do, and thank you, people.
Thank you,
fine folks.
Before we get into things, I kind of wanted to just tell a little story.
Yeah, you were a little upset last night.
I'm a little sore today.
Sore?
A little sore, a little tender in the... I feel like all I do is talk about my balls on this show recently.
Yeah, you already did.
Yeah, I've already once today. But I don't know if it was a full moon last night or Mercury was in retrograde again or whatever, but it was weird. I work in a bar downtown Toronto, Saturday nights, karaoke nights. It's usually a pretty good time there.
Pretty chill, pretty fun.
But last night was a little odd. We had a bunch, like the most dine and dashes ever. Like I was good. I didn't have any, but we've got a lot of new staff. So a lot of people who are like a little, naive, haven't like got that backbone quite yet where if someone's going out, you're like, oh yeah, I need a credit card, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of that going on. But there was this group of Irish and British lads there. Oh, and really? First of all, these girls come in and one of the Spanish guys I work with says, David, those girls are English, right? I'm like, yeah. Like you can tell just looking. Like, no Canadian dresses up in dresses like that with eyelashes the size of palm tree leaves to go to a pub.
Right.
That's a very British thing.
Gabby's.
To go to a Gabby's. Exactly. So I'm like, yeah. So these guys are getting pretty rowdy. One of them writes on like the song paper thing to hand to the DJ, just eat my hole. And he's like, people sing, they're like going up being dicks. So we're like kind of warning them. It's like, guys, have fun, but be respectful of other people.
Yeah.
Then the DJ was kind of like, these guys need to go. So their bill was at like $700.
Jesus
these guys,
Christ.
It was huge. So they got billed out. They keep on trying to come to the bar to order from me. And I'm like, no. Like it's, first you're like, they're way too intoxicated already. Also like, no, you're someone else's. I don't know how many they've served you or whatever. But, and then I see this fight about to kick off. This guy's holding back this other guy. Something's been said or whatever. So it gets de-escalated. We're like, right, guys, pay up, time to leave. one of them comes up to the bar and is like, hey, can I buy a bottle of Grey Goose? I'm like, absolutely not. No. Then the other guy, not the Irish Brit, but this other guy is at the bar and was like, hey, can I just have a word? I'm like, those guys are leaving. They've been dicks all night. I know you didn't do anything, but don't escalate it. There are lots of good people here. Chill. Stay here. And he's like, okay. I'm like, okay, good. And then suddenly it kicks off again. And this guy is on the floor with 6 of these guys beating on him.
Jeez.
So I run in to like, some of the Irish are like trying to pull them apart. I run in, I'm trying, but like fists are flying and things. Manager's in there as well, who's like kind of old
and small.
Yeah. And so he pulls one off front by their shirt, and then this guy grabs him. He's like, you fucking ripped my shirt. So I'm trying to get them across. I'm then trying to save this guy, pull him out of there. He's swinging and fucking punches me right in the balls. So now I'm like, trying not to puke. It's like we're locking the door. We're trying to get them out. It was horrible. Meanwhile, there's this guy that comes in just before this kicks off. This guy walks in with a shopping trolley.
Into the bar?
Into the bar.
Like Raven at WrestleMania?
Yeah, with a shopping trolley. And I'm like, hey, man, sorry, I can't have you in here. And he's like, why? I'm like, you're bringing a shopping cart.
What the?
And he was like, oh, it's only 3 items. I'm like, no, it's not the item.
Well, the line's over there for the 3 items.
It's not the item. He had a can of Fanta, a bottle of iced tea, and a diary, like a girl's like fluffy diary thing. I mean, boys
maybe
can
it was
have
a
them
full
too.
night.
I was like, no, it's more the shopping cart. And he's like, you think I'm homeless? And I'm like, I don't know either way, but you can't have a shopping cart in here. He's like, fair enough. Walks out, puts the cart down, flags a taxi, jumps in and leaves. So it was horrible. Like, it was a crazy, crazy night.
Wow.
And we got through it. Yeah, it was nuts.
My night was
my
fine.
nuts hurt.
I found a shopping cart on my so
Got a new diary?
Yeah, I'm doing great. That's insane. Yeah, I was out with our friend Scorpio Sam, who is our regular fight stopper, fight separator. You could have used him like 30 minutes. We were on our way to your bar. They like DM'd us or something. We're like, oh, like, what do you got? No. Just give us the internet that we pay for. The
I can give them another call.
It's like every time it's like,
or change.
Because I've heard it's not just us. Pollock's getting pissed at it.
Is he with Fido too?
I think he's Rogers, but Rogers owns
They're the
Fido,
same thing.
so.
Yeah. Do we look at Bell? They all suck.
They all suck.
It's like at least Fido's like a little cheaper.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, it would be worth shopping around. Kind of had this package for a long time.
Yeah.
Now.
I'm trying to update my phone deal now. I'm going to get a new iPhone or something, I think.
Oh, yeah?
While. But keep calling me like, yo, you're up for like a thing. And I keep dropping my phone. So every day it gets...
Yeah, I dropped mine the other day, and I thought I'd cracked it, but it's the screen protector, so I've done good. But I need to replace it. I'm not taking the screen protector off until I got a new one.
You like slowly take it off and then just shatters into a million.
Yeah,
the phone protector. Well, I'm sorry that you had such a shitty night, but we're here.
But guys, don't let that put you off coming to Gabby's next Sunday for Double or Nothing.
Fight next week?
Yeah, like honestly, there's been. I've worked there 7 years. There have been 2 fights in that whole time.
Yeah.
Last night just happened to be one. But wrestling fans, they're lovers. They ain't fighters.
Yeah. The most fighting you'll get is the chops afterwards outside.
Like that consensual fighting.
Yeah. Which will be a lot of fun. So yeah, not always fights.
No.
Fights are fun to watch as long as no one's getting like seriously hurt. But you never know how they can go.
It's the people that like escalate it though when they're like. Everyone's yelling, like everyone at the bar were just going, get out. Yeah. And then these guys started like, dropping homophobic slurs and all that. They were scum, fucking scum. But yeah, fun to talk about.
Yeah. Damn. Well, guys, everyone out there, be good, be safe. Don't let your hot heads get the best of you.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So shall we talk about some fake fighting and real fighting?
Yeah, the real fighting is what we should talk about.
Yeah.
Not fake fighting in a bar.
Yeah. Well, it was announced this week. There was we heard there was going to be a huge announcement, and then the announcement became a pending an announcement, an elaboration on an announcement. We did have confirmation on Wednesday that AEW Collision is starting on June 21st, Saturday, June 24th, it's saying here. And yeah, but it wasn't kind of what we thought was going to be announced. And then it comes out later that there were these press releases with kind of CM Punk's name all over it, his picture front and center on the poster. And then day of, on Wednesday, there's all these rumblings that maybe things aren't so good in the Punk camp again. And we've got some Instagram stories going off on Brian Alvarez, saying that Larry now runs the company and all this shit. Like, remember, guys, this guy doesn't drink. And then it's like stories coming out that the idea was for Ace Steel to be on this show producing it with Punk, and that was kind of given the okay. And then it's like, oh yeah, he can have a job, but he can never be in the building. So Punk may be pulling back on that. Interesting that they announced all the locations, pretty much all the Canada dates for Collision, one of which being here in Toronto the day before Forbidden Door, but haven't announced the Chicago United Center show, which was meant to be the debut, and they said they'll be announcing next week. So, yeah, what do you read from all this?
Yeah, on one hand, it's like, you know, we've had almost a whole year, it seems, of wrestling fans being, it's a work, bro. It's like, well, clearly something's been going on with, like, whatever this Punk guy's been doing. And for them to, what we imagine would have been the, like, hey, we have a new show, new crazy dollars put into this TV deal for a new show, you would imagine it's CM Punk attached to it, and then all of a sudden the announcement is he's not involved. Why did you think he was involved? Why would you think he was?
The statement was CM Punk is not affiliated with AEW Collision.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, did something in the past few days actually happen? Is this all this dirt sheet reporting legit, or is it just, no, they're just going to announce it this week?
No, I mean, I think it all fell through with Punk, clearly, because the previous week was there'll be an announcement on TNT. It's like the Turner like upfronts, which happened, and they announced Collision, and then sort of on Dynamite you were maybe going to get a few more details, and we really didn't, apart from, you know, these Toronto, Saskatchewan kind of dates, that kind of thing.
Which, yeah, we have little things to unpack with this quote unquote announcement. Let's go to the first one, Davie. I would love your thoughts on buying tickets to a secondary show announced for Toronto.
What do you mean? I really want to see Thunder Rosa and Scorpio Sky.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why don't we drop hundreds of dollars on it only for tickets to be $4 the day of?
Yeah, I mean, fool me once.
You ain't gonna get fooled again.
You ain't gonna get fooled again. Yeah, like I looked at tickets. There are some like reasonable prices in some sections, but yeah, with everything going on, I don't see this selling out. I do see it being a hot ticket. It's the day before Forbidden Door, but we've seen with these rampages, when they're doing standalone rampages, weekends of pay-per-views or whatever, that they don't necessarily load them. Yeah. Sure, this will be the second Collision, which I'm sure they're going to want to load. But I kind of feel with this one, I'm happy getting it on the day, especially after getting burned before by this.
Yeah. Sorry, someone out there has to be groaning. Guys, let it go. Let the rampage. No. We're never going to let that go. It's one of the worst wrestling shows I've ever watched.
Yeah.
So you're going to book QT Marshall versus Scorpio Sky for Collision?
Yeah.
Are we getting all ego Ethan Page versus fucking, I don't know, Book of Hobbs dude,
for a contract?
Yeah, like, sorry, just no.
Now, the thing I do wonder is if you get CM Punk back.
Yeah.
I mean, we still don't know all the legalities. There's talks about maybe there are like potential restraining orders or something like that, or because there's legal issues going on that they can't actually be there with the Elite. And so you could have, if they do get Punk back, maybe you do Punk Tanahashi on the Saturday night on Collision or something like that. That would be something that would make this show, you know, episode 1 in Chicago is Punk's return. You set up the match, it's Collision next week, and he's not on the pay-per-view.
Right.
Which
would piss people off who bought tickets for that show.
Well, yeah, and also probably not the best move when you're trying to do pay-per-view buys.
Right.
But that's something I wonder they do. But yeah, it is. I do find it interesting they didn't announce the location. We know the United Center has been booked by AEW for that day. They are running Dynamite on the Wednesday at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. United Center's huge. If you announce United Center next week, everyone's going to assume Punk's there, like last time, right? And if it's not going to happen, I wonder if they're looking at alternatives.
Maybe that's why they haven't announced this.
I think so. I think it's, let's give it a week. Let's see if we can smooth things over, if we can get Punk back. We're announcing United Center next week, maybe even announcing Punk. If not, maybe they'll do a smaller venue somewhere else.
It's pretty funny.
It is, but like, I mean, they could run it, but I just feel there'd be so much negativity if you run that building.
It's already there's always negativity
there
around
is,
this company.
There is.
I can't stand like just trying to talk about wrestling with certain people who are like, this. It's like, man, like I just don't. We're gonna have a new segment starting next week called the Go Touch Grass, featuring CM Punk. I'll get the sound bit for you because it's like, of all the people that need to go touch grass, I think it might be him.
Yeah.
Maybe he should smoke some grass. Maybe his attitude would be a little bit better. But I think that if this is all legit true about, hey, there's something going on with him, maybe holding them up. It seems that's pretty shitty.
That's shitty, especially when you think of like all the things he stood for. You know, the voice for the voiceless.
You mean all the bullshit he was throwing at?
Yeah, and you just think, look, everyone has to eat shit at work sometimes. You know, you have a colleague you don't get along with, that you're scheduled with. You be a professional and you work, you know? And these guys are getting paid a lot more than you and I are to do that, you know? And to just hold people, especially at this, like, the, like, nth hour here with this announcement, it's so shitty. And I'm sure there are some, like, very justified gripes he has, but also fucking deal with it.
Yeah.
You know? I find it hilarious. So someone yesterday, our friend from Gabby's, the cook there, who likes wrestling, but he's like quite new to it, and he's like very much like WWE. So he hears rumblings of other stuff going on.
Yeah. And
he's like, so what's this AEW Collision? And I'm like, all right, where do I start?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the pipe bomb? It's like essentially I tell him pipe bomb through to his exit from WWE, through to his return, the lawsuit with the doctor, with Colt Cabana, going through to the workers' rights comment by Paige, going to Brawl Out, going to this, going to that. And you're like, this is nuts. The story, like, someone needs to put together, you know, like Brian Mann did the Punk MJF feud. Someone just needs to do the Punk story.
Right. Yeah. You know what? Like, I can't knock the guy, because you can't go anywhere without people wanting to talk about him, without him being mentioned. Is he even more popular than when he wasn't around and them bring him in? Like, it's just so much lore attached to his name. But as a fan watching, like someone who we are pretty hardcore, if you're listening to podcasts about wrestling, you're probably pretty hardcore into wrestling. Like, I personally think AEW needs him, clearly, with TV deals and $1 billion deals and all this stuff. Like, it's crazy business. He's a huge draw, a huge name. But, like, personally, I'm not that interested in seeing him wrestle, to be fair. I'm interested in him talking and setting up things and interest in stirring up controversy. Seems to be the only real thing he's good at, because it ain't wrestling anymore and it ain't fighting.
I don't know about that. I'd say he had one of the best runs of his career.
He had like some good matches, but what I'm trying to say is, like, as much as a fan as I'm like so over it, but like that's all still people just want to talk about, and he's doing something. He's the best, one of the best worker, carny fake fighting dudes of all time. Because
I did really enjoy his last run.
He's always getting people talking.
And like the builds and stuff. I completely agree with you. He's always in the news. I am curious. What do you think his reaction would be in Toronto?
I feel like he'll get the crowd reactions everywhere he goes first, being hot, because it's just like, oh, we want to see him. We just want to see him. Remember his first original run in AEW? It's like every week, we're going to hear from CM Punk. What the fuck else does he have to say after the third week? Can we just get to the wrestling? And then finally they got to the wrestling. Here, it's like, I'd bring him in. He acts as if he's the babyface, and then you eventually turn him. Would be the right way to go about it. You can't just have him show up and expect him to be a bad guy or something.
I think you are going to get spatterings of
Sure.
boos and fuck CM Punk chants and things like that. I do agree. I think it will be predominantly cheers and stuff, but you're going to hear way more mix than we have in his first.
It's just like,
because he's put off a lot of people. You and I
put
included,
off a lot of people, right? Like, again, I
ain't cheering this guy.
I still respect this guy, and he's definitely brought so much to wrestling and so much interest, because a lot of people like everything else around wrestling more than the actual wrestling, right? Like, it's all about, they love the dramas and the contracts and this and this and this, and it's like, I totally get that, and I love that for him. I love the fact that he can stir up controversy and everything like that. But to me, at the end of the day, I remember he's got to be one of the biggest fake tough guys in wrestling. Yeah. Like, I've seen him get his ass kicked anything he shows up in. So, like, really, I don't have interest in watching him, main event pay-per-views and TV shows. But you cannot dismiss that he is a huge part of, like, that is a part of wrestling. The lore. This guy talks so much shit. I got to tune in to see if he shows up, if he talks more shit, if he wrestles. So, like, he's got it. He's the modern day, like, good, like, huge star that everyone just seems interested in. Controversy creates cash.
The thing is, it's like, yes, he's going to especially for this Saturday show, they need him, really.
For sure.
To get this thing off the ground, they do need that kind of level star. Because, Miro could have been that guy if treated correctly in this company, but bringing him back after a year off of TV for no reason, like, that's not going to make people excited. Right. Thunder Rosa isn't going to make people excited. Scorpio Sky, no disrespect to them, but they're not the same level of star as CM Punk. And if you're promoting this new show and it's these guys without Punk, it is Rampage. And
baby.
But it's also short-term gains, right? Because Punk's 45, he got injured twice in the space of a year in his return. And also, you don't know when he's just gonna go on fucking Instagram stories again and just blow up about something else.
That's another thing.
You can't trust this guy, even if they, like, obviously if they've got Punk for Collision, they're gonna want to announce that ahead of time. But can you even trust announcing it? Because it could be morning of the show, and he's like, oh, sorry, dogs aren't allowed in the arena? No, fuck that. I was told I could bring Larry. No, I'm going home.
I love dogs. That's got to be one of the ugliest fucking dogs I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Also, thank God no one's showed him how to use TikTok yet. Because I feel like he'd be announcing gripes.
Yeah.
On social, like, on my Instagram story, it'll always pop up CM Punk's story. Next to it'll be like all these fucking like female singers and pop stars and stuff that I follow, pretty much posting similar things. Like, he posts like a kid.
Yeah.
He posts like a child. Love this guy and hate this guy at the same time. Like, there's no denying that he's good at working us. Like, this is all working in whatever way. If he's trying to do it or not, it's working. So, yeah, I love CM Punk and I hate CM Punk. So he's clearly good at this, right? Yeah. Like, again, the wrestling aside, I don't really care. We're going to Forbidden Door this summer. We're going over to Wembley this summer. I really don't care.
We're going to Hamilton.
We're going to Hamilton. I don't care if I see him wrestle.
Yeah.
That's just me. I've already paid my money to see it. I'm actually paying my money for Kenny Omega and John Moxley. And, like, that's why I've taken my fucking dollars to have Punk attached to that will attract lots of other people. So I totally see the train, the driving force behind that. He is a draw. There's no like comparing it. But me personally, I'm like, cool, that's all good, but I just would like to watch.
Oh yeah, I'm not I wouldn't be disappointed if I don't see him.
Yeah. Whereas a lot of people would be.
I do have a weird taste in my mouth with him, and I don't know what kind of feud at this point I'd be. Yeah. Because there's always going to be the elephant in the room. Like, really, the feud should be him versus the Elite immediately, but that ain't going to happen.
I think what did he call dumb fucking Hangman Page would knock this fucking guy's block off.
Easily.
Like, I honestly
that's why he was scared about fighting him.
Yeah, and you know what? Pepsi sucks. Yeah. So, like, I can't say I don't care, but, like, the wrestling, like...
The Pepsi Plunge, however, good mocktail. I made one last night.
Yeah.
After the fight. These guys forgot their ID, or they weren't old enough, and it was like, they were like, can you make me a mocktail? I was like, I got you. You allergic to dairy? They're like, no. I was like, I got you.
Pepsi Plunge.
Yeah. Coke, milk, and grenadine. It's delicious.
Yeah. So CM Punk will always be in people's mouths and want people to talk about it, and it totally works. It's like he's a figure that's just always in the news and always going. And I hope that it works out for AEW because like that. He's a draw and it gets people going and into it and stuff like that. And I just, at the end of the day, is Tony Khan already like, he already has the contract signed. So it's like, he could be like, yeah, I just got paid, 72 mil a year for Collision. Joke's on them. I'm booking Scorpio Sky every main event, like taking the money and running. See you folks. Don't care if I have Punk. I already signed the deal. What do I care? Yeah, ratings or not. I already made my money. I'm making my money. So like, there is that aspect too. True. He could have been like, look, HBO Max, I have CM Punk. Look what this does. And they go, oh, that's pretty good. And then he's like, I don't have CM Punk, but you already signed. Yeah. I already sold 7.7 mil at Wembley. He ain't even going to be on it.
God subject to
change.
So
it's like, maybe he's not as bad as something. Like, that's how I see. This guy's making money.
Like, it could potentially, if you go back to that original like roster split in WWE, where like SmackDown elevated your, Edge, Eddie, Benoit, like those kind of people. Like, there is certainly an opportunity to do that, but it does need that one star to kind of have people interested to make it not feel like I'd love to see some of these
Commissioner guys Punk.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of these guys break out who have been like underutilized. Like an Andrade is fantastic, right? Yeah. Miro's great. Like, but their star has faded because of bad booking and everything over the last year and fights and shit. So it is definitely very curious. But shall we move on?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be talking about Punk again next week and the day after that and everything like that.
So this week on Dynamite, we saw the 3 of the 4 pillars in matches. You had Darby teaming up with Orange Cassidy. You had Jungle Boy versus Roosh and Sami Guevara just in kind of a squash match here. Had some like little video promos from each guy just to hype up the 4 pillars 4-way championship match at Double or Nothing. What have your thoughts been of this build so far? Where is your interest level 1 week out for this match?
On paper, the 4 pillars match sounds pretty good and will be an amazing match. I know by next week, we'll all be like, oh, that match was awesome. What a great match. The 4 of them killed it. But the storyline leading into it, zero hype. Like, no one's buying that anyone is taking that title from MJF. I wouldn't even have that as the main event.
I don't think it will be.
I don't think it's the main event. It's just definitely not feeling like that. It's almost as if they're doing this 4 pillars just to say in 5 years, hey, remember when we did it the first time? So that years later they can,
Well, I feel to do it as well before anyone might leave as well.
Also,
let's do this while we have the chance, while everyone's healthy and in AEW. Right. But yeah, I haven't been interested in this. I think the match will be fun.
Yeah.
I think there are many issues with it, like the whole kind of WWE style of, like announcing the match but not announcing the match, a tournament, DQs, countouts, all that, only to be like, oh, MJF, well, you've been screwing everyone over, so it's going to be a 4-way anyway. Kind of lazy and uninteresting booking. The promos haven't been very good. I think the video packages may be a little better. Sami Guevara, just confusing. Right, so he kind of turned full babyface this week in Texas, but his whole thing is like, like I've been underutilized. I scratch and claw for everything. It's like, dude, on the first night of Dynamite, you were like picked by Jericho, and you've been in Jericho's like faction right
Ever
from day
since.
one.
Yeah.
So like all the stuff he's saying doesn't really land, and his character's been so flip flop anyway that I don't think anyone's really buying Sami, and he's definitely feels like the odd one out. But then Jungle Boy as well, like his match against Roosh, what like insane booking that was. Just have Roosh killing this guy and then slips on a banana peel and Jungle Boy cheats, holds the tights to win. It's like, how am I buying this guy as a viable contender? It's laughable.
Yeah. Like, I know MJF, the story is he told Jungle Boy, like, yo, you're too nice. That's the reason why you haven't made it like all the others. And him cheating is like, oh, look, maybe I do need to cheat. Maybe Jungle Boy helps MJF win.
I kind of like that idea. I think Jungle Boy is like, since the Christian feud is just flat. And I think maybe being MJF's lackey for a bit could work.
Yeah. He helps him get the TNT title or some other title in return.
Yeah.
I just think something needs to happen with, it's like they had him beat Christian, which felt like, oh, nice, he beat Christian, and then nothing.
Well, I actually liked when you had all the other people talking about the opponents and Christian kind of talking Jack Perry's praises, like being like, he's great, but he needs that edge.
Yeah.
So I would love that idea. I think that would make it kind of interesting to have Jungle Boy turn to help MJF retain.
I think so.
Because you've already set up the story of like MJF trying to buy Sami, and like Sami's rejected that. So I think that would be interesting, and end with a headlock takeover on Darby again for the win.
Yeah, that's definitely how the finish needs to happen. Like, Jungle Boy helps him do something along those lines. Again, the match will be awesome. Just the build to it has not been too good. I love all four of these guys. I do see big things for them down the line, but in a weird way, they're still all a bunch of kids that maybe aren't ready. I feel like MJF has come in and just swept the world of wrestling, and rightfully so, has been world champion. And like, just don't buy any of the other guys at this moment in time taking it.
I would with Darby in a singles feud, but not in this iteration.
Yeah.
They've called off on Sting as well. We haven't seen him really since that.
MJF should beat the fuck out of Sting on Wednesday.
Or on the pay-per-view.
Right.
I do hope that's the Wembley match, MJF Sting. And I think you can build it out of this match.
Yeah. Again, love all four of these guys. The match will be awesome, but the build to it has not been good. Jungle Boy, he's one of my favorites, but his diss was, "You're rude."
Yeah. Darby, you're antisocial and you're rude.
Oh, damn, you really got him
Fuck,
there. Got him.
Oh, I now want to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, that one was tough. So like, as much as I love Jungle Boy, my girlfriend's favorite wrestler, but promo wise, and then like in doing interviews like this week, being like, yeah, promos aren't my favorite thing to do. It's like, it's been a few years now, man. Like, you said that when you joined.
Well, especially like, his dad being an actor.
Yeah.
You would think he's got a bit more like something there. And yeah, I say it all the time. Like, some of these guys just get an acting coach.
Acting class.
Acting
you spend
class,
all your
improv
time.
class,
Yeah, you
that
spend
kind of
all your
thing.
time working on your bodies and stuff, as you should be, to be in crazy physical shape. And some of these guys are absolutely just in crazy shape. All four of the pillars are in incredible shape, in my opinion. But just take acting classes.
I did like
some comedy classes.
hearing an interview with LA Knight a month or so ago. It was basically saying like, hey, like, my wrestling's okay. I'm never going to be doing the stuff some of these guys today are doing, but I always knew like the people that I was attracted to were, The Rock, Stone Cold. Why? Because of their promos.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, I've always worked on that. Yeah. And if I could just keep in shape, like have a style that just works for me, my mouth is gonna get me over. And it is. Like, you see him on SmackDown, like, crowd are really like warming to LA Knight these days. So it's definitely something everyone needs to work on. It's all very good doing a 6:30, but make me care about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we had one of the most fun matches as well this week on Dynamite. Roderick Strong against Chris Jericho, Falls Count Anywhere match. This was ridiculous. I need to be reminded at the end of the year when putting together our lists about this match, because this is one of the most fun wrestling matches I've seen this year.
Absolutely. This is a dream match for me. I've been waiting for this match for absolute years since I got into wrestling. Roderick Strong, for whatever reason, became one of my favorite Ring of Honor when he was just pure white meat babyface hitting backbreakers. I've been following his career for such a long time. And Chris Jericho, one of my all-time favorite GOATs, if not my GOAT. Finally wrestling. You have no, like, I've been waiting. Played this in video games. I played this in, E-Feds back in the 2000s. Like, I've been waiting for these guys to wrestle, and I finally got them to wrestle. And it was so much fun. It felt like I was watching a video game or something where they're fighting through the crowd.
It just kept on, like, it's like, you know, those arcade games where you just keep on moving on to a next level. You've cleared that stage and then you move on. Like, we've seen so many plunder matches, but this just felt so different from going, you know, through the crowd to the concourse, and then you're going, like, right to the entrance and then outside.
Yeah.
It just kept going.
It's like Here Comes the Pain or something.
The bit on the steps, I was terrified.
So scared for them.
Because they're on this ledge, and then you're seeing the drop. Like, none of this gimmicked, just these flight of stairs going down.
Yeah.
I was, like, heart in my mouth watching that.
I thought they did a lot in this. Like, they maybe there's probably reasons for everything, but in a weird way, it wet my whistle for Anarchy. Like, next week. Like, because Jericho was in the one last year, so he's not in this one next week or whatever. So it's almost as if, like, hey, remember, this is what we do in AEW.
They've done that before. I think before the first Stadium Stampede, you had that crazy tag.
The golf cart,
with the golf
off
cart
the cherry picker.
Stuff.
Yeah.
My criticism would be, how does Adam Cole and Jericho top this?
They're gonna have a real tough time.
Right? Because, like, they kind of did everything here.
Yeah.
Like, I loved it. I loved, like, Roddy luring him outside, kind of backing
so much
off.
sense. Yeah.
And then Cole's just there.
He's been banned from the building.
And the way it was shot as well, it looked different. It didn't quite feel like a wrestling shoot. Like, if you were to tune in at that point, you might think you're watching a TV show or something. I know they're in their fucking underwear and stuff outside, but it felt a bit more real, and it's definitely what this feud has needed, because it hasn't really been connecting with me.
It finally picked up for me, for sure.
So they're doing a unsanctioned match, right? Cole and Jericho.
Okay, that makes sense, because, like, the storyline is he got his girl.
But yeah, where do you go from here?
Yeah, is Adam Cole. You had ice cream. You had Mr. Softy. Yeah. I don't know how we're topping Mr. Softy and Mr. Hardy, maybe, possibly. But no, I love this match, and like I said, following Roddy for such a long time, doing upNXT, we watched him in NXT. How many months have we been waiting for him? He's just been chilling somewhere. We're like, man, this guy's good. Like, this guy, probably WWE just wants him to be a trainer, and he's probably like, I got some gas left in the tank here. And, like, again, don't know this guy, but I'm assuming, you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself just a little bit more and have some fun. You got this one match already with Jericho.
It's great. Also not what I know Roddy can do this style, but it's not what you expect from him. You kind of expect,
we got the stronghold in the lion tamer walls combos in the earlier beginning of the match, and I was smitten with that. And then I was like, what?
But it's one of those things. Once he got signed, it's like, okay, we'll have a match against Daniel Garcia on TV, which will be a really good wrestling match. He'll maybe face Danielson at some point. It's all this, and it's like, no, let's do a fucking wild Falls Count Anywhere. Not what you really expect from the guy, but so good.
I really got into this.
This is definitely one I want to show other people about, like, hey, watch.
Yeah, honestly, I think they need to do a bit more of this, like making things feel a little bit different when it comes to different segments in matches, because this felt like something I've never watched before.
It looks awesome as well when you've got the crowd who have gone to the concourse, following with security.
They're all chanting Y2J, and Jericho keeps telling them to shut up.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not Y2J, shut up. And it's pretty funny. I loved it, and got me super hyped for the Adam Cole. When he appeared at the end, I was like, oh, they're outside. So he's banned from the building. I was like, that's pretty smart. So you know what? I really love that. And Roderick Strong, continue. I'm just so happy. Just love this guy so much. So great stuff.
Main event this week was Jay White versus Ricky Starks. And
Jay White's the biggest goose going in wrestling right now, right? Like, he's got to have drawn the worst straws.
I do kind of feel sorry for the guy.
You're kind of like, you were main eventing. You were champion this year.
Bad timing, right? I actually look, when you heard this was the main event, I'm like, I like both guys. I'm not overly invested in both guys. I haven't liked this story. I think Jay White should have been treated as a bit bigger of a deal. I think Ricky Starks had a nice little bit of momentum earlier in the year, which has kind of, got muddied and faded a bit. So I can't say going into this I was too interested. They did get me. I actually quite got into the match by the end of it. And then there was that stupid DQ, which kind of just pissed me off.
Yeah. Which I imagine sets up for a rematch at the pay-per-view.
I would assume so, yeah.
It's kind of weird. Ricky Starks had a feud with MJF that could have been the pay-per-view feud, and the Four Pillars could have been the TV feud the other way around, but he kind of got the I don't care about Jay White. I agree, though, the match went on, I was like, oh, okay, they're actually really good. Both of them are really good.
Yeah.
I'm used to Jay White having Broadway 45. I couldn't imagine how he's supposed to have a match on Rampage.
It's kind of nice to watch him and be like, all right, you've got 14 minutes.
Yeah, what can you do now?
He'll try and stall to the outside a little bit, but yeah, tightens it up a lot.
Yeah, he's good, and I just think the timing is kind of wrong there. I can't say I care about this feud, but I do agree that the match did pick up, and I was like, oh no, you guys are talented, and I could see this running it back and having even a better match. But right now, I guess Jay White and Juice Robinson, who Juice Robinson also don't care about, but the little things when he's yelling and being in Jay's corner, he's pretty funny. You do get memories of like, oh man, CJ Parker does make me laugh. Is Jay White and Juice Robinson, Bullet Club Gold, just waiting for Bill? It's got to be Bullet Club Goldberg.
I mean, especially with the Punk stuff happening. I like Goldberg putting out there he wants a retirement tour. Why not?
Yeah, kick Punk in the head.
Throw some money his way.
Joke. No, does that make the most sense for Jay White and Juice? Like, what else do they have going on? Bullet Club. You left Bullet Club in New Japan only to join the shittier like.
It is. Like, yeah, he got kicked out, and now it's like, it's still holding on to that Bullet Club name, which doesn't really mean much anymore.
So Goldberg should come out. I think Goldberg is going to be number 21 in the Battle Royale and absolutely murder Orange Cassidy, only to rematch it one more time at a building that Goldberg is very familiar with in the Scotiabank Arena.
It is Goldberg country, isn't it? Like, I don't know why, but he's wrestled in that building more than he should have.
It's time, and Orange Cassidy is next. I think Goldberg's coming in at Double or Nothing.
That would be awesome.
I think he's going to be in that Battle Royal at the end, and he's going to be the IC champion or whatever that title is.
International. Yeah, I love that idea. Why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, yeah. What else? What else happened on?
Well, the Elite reunited. We had Don Callis speaking. Didn't really say a whole lot.
Yeah, I love Don Callis. I've loved him for years. What, Jackal? Cyrus? Whatever they fucking... He's just good at making people hate him. So I'm really happy. I loved the angle from last week with turning on Kenny. It genuinely shocked me. I was like, oh, what? And not even that. You stabbed your friend with a screwdriver. It's a bit mean. So I loved it. And him throwing little things, whether it's social media, he didn't say the word bruv in his promo. Maybe he should have, because I don't think he's affiliated with the BCC. I think he's affiliated with the United Empire.
I think so, and I think that's why he didn't explain. He got interrupted. He kind of, we've seen the little seeds being planted about where, Kenny's looking to go into the trios route, and he's like, no, you're a singles wrestler, and oh, the Bucks are fine, they'll be fine, don't worry about them. We've seen all those things where he's like, no, because he's the golden goose. He needs New Japan main event Kenny Omega to make him money, right? It makes sense. And Kenny's been distracted with all these other things going into faction warfare and all that. So I think it was good he's interrupted, because you still don't know his motivations, and I think that can be whether it's Ospreay showing up at Double or Nothing.
I think so, yeah.
Or after. But I think that it's intertwined pretty nicely. And you're wondering, oh, is he part of BCC? I think you're completely right. I think it would... I don't dislike I mean, Ospreay's promo is so different, but it is very British. You know, like that's how people.
Oi, bruv.
I know people hate the bruv stuff, but people talk like that, and I see so many, like, take a Drew McIntyre for instance. He speaks like he's an American. He sounds Scottish, but all the words "I'm gonna kick your ass" and all that, we don't say that. You know. So I do like that Ospreay is kind of authentically Essex.
Right.
But I think a Don Callis would help him and would help this feud. Because we've got Resurgence next week, I think, which is Ospreay, Lance Archer, and the winner's going to face Kenny, most likely.
And that's probably Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
So we're getting Kenny Ospreay too.
I think so.
In Toronto. Oh, man.
But the Elite reuniting, Hangman coming back, huge pop for Hangman.
This was Texas, right?
Yeah.
You know what? This pop was louder, but if I was there, it would have been even louder. I think I would have screamed just because the fit. Hangman's eye patch.
With the eye patch, yeah.
Fucking badass, dude. Yeah. Them reuniting is fantastic. It just, the little things AEW does really well is like the shots of them in the ring.
Yeah.
Where then he's standing opposing and then he gets in line with them. It's like the little things like that. They're really smart and love all that. Yeah, it fell into like what needed to happen with AEW as of late. With Kenny kind of standing now with Hangman, they're friends again.
Yeah,
let's move on to fighting the bad guys.
I think you keep it as the 8-man for Anarchy in the Arena.
Okay,
and then I think you set up for Blood and Guts on TV a 5-on-5.
Okay,
I'm thinking.
Well,
although it's like you'd have to, the turnaround isn't that big between Forbidden Door and Double or Nothing.
Yeah, it's like a month.
But if you're doing Blood and Guts, yeah, I think you could have Takeshita join BCC, for instance.
Yeah,
at the pay-per-view.
That's another interesting.
And then
thing,
you set up for an Ibushi return,
maybe.
So you have that match, and then that can lead to, that can set up a feud for Ibushi and Danielson for Forbidden Door.
I hope that's
or something like that. Like
that would be nuts.
You can do a nice way to tie everything together, leading to the next pay-per-view.
If anything leads to Ibushi coming in and facing Danielson, especially here in Toronto, like, yeah, you've already got my money, but take my money, because that's a crazy match that I need before these guys retire. Is Ibushi Danielson 1-on-1, and especially in the story right now, it would make sense. So does Takeshita turn this week? Does he join sides, allowing Ibushi to come in? I'm not even sure.
I think you have 4-on-4 at the pay-per-view, but I think you could have Takeshita get involved to help BCC win, perhaps.
Coda shows up with some fireworks and then moonsault off something onto everyone.
I think you maybe do that on TV. So now you have it 5-on-4, and the Elite need that 5th member, and then it's Golden Elite versus
Golden
BCC.
Elite. Goldberg?
Yeah.
Golden Elite.
Would it be Golden Elite versus Sinner BCC?
Sinner BCC, yeah. Or is Takeshita not with BCC, but like, I don't know. It was a great angle though, and it got me hyped for this match. This is the main event of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, honestly, it's the only thing that's got my interest. And I've been a little bit hot and cold on this, more so than others. I know other people have really been digging the whole thing. But yeah, it's got me now. It's set. I think the match is going to be insane. It is kind of, unfortunately, the only match I'm interested in.
Yeah, which is, we're talking about this crazy summer that AEW has going, but this pay-per-view definitely is one of the least hyped ones possibly ever for AEW, in my opinion.
I mean, look at it's not selling great either. According to WrestleTix, as of May 15th, so that is earlier in the week, tickets distributed just short of 7,000. We know they've done much more than that. I mean, Scotiabank's going to be 15,000, right? For Forbidden Door. Like, it's not that many sold, and I think maybe it's I would definitely start rethinking, always doing All Out in Chicago, always doing Double or Nothing in Vegas, because it's Vegas. You do have locals there, but it's more of a destination where people are going to. And it's clear that people don't want to travel for this pay-per-view. Whereas you put it in a different market where they don't normally have pay-per-views, you're going to get that hardcore, like, wrestling crowd go to it. You've seen that with London. You've seen that with here. That it doesn't matter what the card is. It's in town, let's go. Whereas I think Vegas is definitely much more of a let's travel there.
Yeah.
And we looked into it, and then we're like, actually, no, I'm not
really happy I
feeling this
didn't.
build. Yeah.
Not knocking anyone who's got travel plans. I'm sure it'll still be an amazing
you have
show
a great
and
time,
fun time. But yeah, definitely like, ooh, this is the lowest I've been. It's like there's a pay-per-view next weekend, and we just got the matches announced this weekend. I think they are. They'll pick it up, and it'll still deliver, because usually when we're down on a pay-per-view and like, it's not going to be that good, then it ends up being like stellar, and we're like, okay, like, that was amazing.
They always deliver.
Yeah, they always deliver. Let's not forget that. Wrestling right now, pay-per-views deliver. So like
across the board.
Yeah. So like honestly, right now is a hot time for wrestling. I had a buddy the other day. I was like, I saw you were in Toronto. You haven't visited in a while. You coming through? He's like, I don't think so. Like, just not into wrestling right now. I'm like, of all the times to drop out, I'd say you're wrong.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like pay-per-views alone, if you just coast on pay-per-views, wrestling's great right now. You had Mania, you had Backlash, you had, whatever AEW does. So I am still hyped to watch it next week, of course, but not as hyped as maybe some of the other ones.
Anything else from AEW this week you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, again, I really loved Hangman joining. I'm a sucker for the Elite, definitely. Like I'm definitely an Elite mark, and got super excited, and that match will kick ass. Some other stuff I did like. I'm not sure why, but I still am enjoying Christian Cage so much. And Christian Cage versus Wardlow in a ladder match, I kind of scratched my head at, but then I'm like, nah, let's see, let him cook. Let's see. And if you ask me, I think Christians should win.
Yeah. I mean, this title's been flip-flopped so much.
Yeah, but like Wardlow and Arn doesn't make sense to me. Hobbs was instantly massacred within a flip of a... You had a guy, and then they killed it with the TMZ gimmick, and now he's dropped completely off the face of the earth for being anywhere near a title.
Wait, it's Collision.
Yeah, sure. I just am like, let's move away from all these people to some new people. So
I think this is going to be... Because Wardlow's definitely... Like, he was so hot last year going into Double or Nothing.
And then he cut his hair and wore a security guard shirt this week.
But I think a ladder match could be cool for him to try and do something different, because we've seen it, the Powerbomb Symphony, like, it's his gimmick, but it's got a bit tired now. It's not over anymore. We need to see a bit more from him. Christian's a pretty smart worker, and adding the ladder stipulation...
Christian's one of the best of all time.
Yeah. Adding the ladder stipulation, I think, is interesting, and it's going to force Wardlow to do something different. And I really hope he kind of breaks out again.
Yeah.
But Christian's promos, like, he's such a dick. He's been fantastic.
So good. He's easily one of the best heels in all of wrestling of all time. He's just someone, like, watching that promo the other week when he's talking about Arn, and everyone's kind of like, yo, watch what you fucking say, Christian. Jesus. He was dancing around some pretty, real shit. And then to this week, with Wardlow beating him up and stuff, I'm like, man, you're still good at this. Like, I'm so happy you didn't, like, retire when you did, or stop doing it in WWE just because they didn't really want you anymore. It's like, no, you're good. Like, anything you say makes me want to see you get your ass kicked.
He's got a role as a manager now, even if he has to hang up the boots. Like,
I think they messed up with him and Luchasaurus. They're trying that again. Should be him and Hobbs. He
should
have been the talker for Hobbs.
I think that would work.
And that would have been a unit that goes really far. Because now Hobbs was potentially, set for something, and he's completely ruined that right away. And I feel bad for him, but not that Hobbs necessarily needs a mouthpiece anyways, but that would have been the unit together. Those two, fuck yeah.
It would elevate Hobbs a bit, I think. Yeah. Had the setup for we're getting Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter at the pay-per-view, which, you know what, I haven't been too into this whole Outcast story, but they had a really good match at Full Gear, right?
Oh yeah, that was amazing.
And now I think it's clearer with Tony heel and Jamie babyface. I think this will be a pretty good match between these two.
Yeah, how we got there this whole pay-per-view is how we got there. It doesn't make sense, but the match makes sense, and the match will slay. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Those two killed it at Full Gear, and now the storylines make more sense because the bad guy, good guy sort of thing. I hated the Outcasts when they first started. I think now they're growing on me as, oh, you're good heels now. This makes what you should have just came in as a heel, like, right away. The Saraya being a bad guy makes sense. They're doing like classic heel wrestling shticks, but I think they're doing it on purpose to like get us to genuinely just hate them, and I think that's working. So I think they're doing effective heel work. And you know what? The women's matches on AEW lately have been pretty good. Toni Storm is a workhorse.
Tony, like, I was pretty low on Toni Storm
Yeah.
at one point. I think she's
Picked it up.
been so good in AEW. And I think this match, especially her and Jamie, have good chemistry. They are like friends and they work together a lot. Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good match.
Potentially a show stealer with these two, because when we were at Full Gear, we all looked at each other. It was like, was that maybe the best women's match AEW's put on? I would still probably stand by that.
Yeah,
and this could be.
And it was weird because I think it was kind of setting up for maybe Saraya and Jamie, which perhaps is Wembley. But when Tony just called her out, we just looked at each other and went, "Yeah, why not?
Right.
That's the best match. Okay, we don't want any 6-woman tag. Just do that."
Yeah.
And then who would you like Jamie's opponent to be for Forbidden Door?
Mercedes, but I just don't think that's possible. In the cards.
I mean, we'll see. Mercedes is in this tournament next week for this New Japan Strong Women's Championship.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have multiple women's matches at Forbidden Door, I'd like maybe Britt Baker and Mercedes.
Okay.
And do Jamie against Julia.
So that you can have people beat other people. You can't have Jamie losing to Mercedes.
If you do champ v champ, it's always a bit tough to book. But I think Jamie and Julia is a match I'd really like to see.
Selfishly, the match is Sasha Jamie though.
Yeah,
that would be the match that kills it. But the others make more sense just because of booking wise and stuff. But yeah, Jamie versus Mercedes though, like I would love to see that match for sure.
So, do you have the Double or Nothing card there?
I do actually.
Let's
I have
go through it.
Yeah, Double or Nothing. Obviously, we mentioned the 4-way, the 4 pillars. MJF, I think, is the sure clear cut winner there. So how shocking would it be if they gave it to someone
Jungle
else?
Boy.
Just give it the Jungle Boy. Why not? He'll cheat to win.
Jungle Boy is headlining Wembley.
That's right. Just you laugh, but when his theme hits at Wembley, that crowd doing that thing,
man, that crowd is going to be like so much fun. I'm so excited.
I was in a grocery store the other week, and they're playing like Matchbox 20 or something, and then all of a sudden Tarzan Boy came on, and I just like looked around and I started doing it. No one was in my aisle if they're doing it. It's like, yeah. Nobody knows.
I'm just, matches aside, what I'm most looking forward to at Wembley is just singing every song.
Yeah.
Singing Judas, like 70,000 people singing Judas.
Yeah.
Jericho can actually say, "I played Wembley." He's got to get Fozzy on the show.
Yeah, Soraya's gunning for her boyfriend's band to play her out.
Her shitty boyfriend.
Yeah. I'd like to see Downstate do All In live. The opening video.
You need Brian May guitar solo
with Downstate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oasis getting back together. Spice Girls. Beatles.
What, Spice Girls play out the Outcasts?
Spice Girls team up with Paul McCartney and Brian May. And what's the not shit Gallagher from Oasis? They're both
shit.
Yeah.
Noel, Liam.
Yeah, I want Noel.
Noel's a little less shit.
Noel, the guy from Queen, the whatever Spice Girls are down, and Paul McCartney.
Yeah, playing
out, and Fatboy Slim.
Fatboy Slim,
just for reasons.
Just start with Right Here, Right Now, right?
Yeah, I want that. So going back to Double or Nothing, what else is on this card? Oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal versus FTR. You know what? Maybe not a pay-per-view match, but this is actually probably going to be a really fun match. And call me crazy, Satnam Singh growing on me.
Oh, they're using him so well. Like,
so funny.
They
so
debuted
giant.
him in such a terrible way. But I think they use him sparingly, where his spots are so entertaining. Whether it's him holding a baby, whether it's, Darby doing his tope suicida and just bouncing off this guy, or taking a table bump. Like, this guy's been great. And he does have, I think this group shouldn't be working, and it really is. And you know what? I think for the pay-per-view, this match does make more sense than some of your maybe better tag teams.
And we have Karen Jarrett.
And we've got Karen Jarrett
who decided not to come in for the Acclaimed feud when she was actually mentioned, but just to come in when she's not brought up at all.
I do, if you could, retcon, I think you should have had these guys beat the Acclaimed. They did the fake title win.
Yeah.
I think them, and then instead of the gun feud, you went from these guys to FTR.
You guys are hotter than the guys.
With FTR beating these guys, I think would have worked way better. I don't think you're going to swap the titles onto these guys. You want FTR as champions going into Forbidden Door and going into the Wembley show. I'd say Bucks FTR at Wembley is the match you should be
Bucks FTR at Wembley
doing.
if it's not the 6-man whatever, but also Forbidden Doors Aussie Open FTR too.
That makes sense.
Or
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah. But you know what? I've been loving Jeff Jarrett. He's easily one of the best signings this past time. Like
he's
everyone
been
laughed and
fantastic.
groaned and like he's more over than your favorite wrestlers. So
He's
like,
fantastic.
Sorry.
And I love that theme.
The mash-
Every time it hits.
the mashup one is pretty
Oh, yeah,
sick. Yeah, the mashup one's pretty sick.
Well,
Well, we mentioned also Christian Cage, Wardlow in a ladder match. I think it would be funny if Christian Cage beat him, but I don't think.
I think it's going to be Wardlow,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Orange Cassidy in a 21-man blackjack battle royal, and there's 17 competitors to be determined. So far, the factory, no, what are they called? QTV?
The firm, QTV.
It better be Goldberg. That's all I'm saying.
You're saying Goldberg?
Yeah.
You've sold me. Let's do it.
Yeah, the dream match is Orange Cassidy Goldberg 1-on-1. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Goldberg comes in, spears and wins.
Yeah.
Crazy. Jamie Hayter, Tony Storm. I see Jamie retaining.
I
there.
think it's got to be Jamie, but I think it's going to be a really good match.
Could be more. It could be a bit interesting if Tony were to win it. I just don't know where we would go with her forward with some other things. Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie for the TBS.
Oh, is this
title.
happening?
This is apparently on.
Man, their last match was terrible. So they've really got to up it. I mean, Jade's just been living on Rampage recently.
Yeah, I forgot Jade was a thing.
Yeah, I like Jade. She is green. I think there's definitely this star quality to her. I do like her. The last time these two had a match was very sloppy, so they've got a lot to improve.
Now
but
is that
Jade
on the,
retaining?
Is that on the pay per view or on like the buy-in or something? Because they've announced a match.
For the buy-in?
They have not announced what's on the buy-in. Or,
Okay.
Because we're recording this a week still out. Guess what was added to the pay-per-view?
What?
You're gonna be so excited about
What?
this next match. Ethan Page teaming with the Guns.
Yeah.
Sounds great already.
Okay.
Versus the Hardy Party.
Oh, this is for control of Ethan Page's contract now, right?
If Hardy Party wins, Matt Hardy will own Ethan Page's contract.
Fuck's sake. What's going on? This
That's not
is
real.
why you watch Rampage. All these contract stories have been ridiculous. Way and I both had it as worst story of the year last year, and it's still going on. Yeah, I guess the Hardys have
Hardy Party.
Hardy Party
Please say
has
it
Ethan Page's contract. I believe Isaiah Cassidy can't moan anymore because he got Pillmanized this week.
He's not allowed to moan anymore?
No, he had his throat
Oh, I thought you meant like his
smashed.
balls.
Yeah.
You mean Brother Zay?
Whatever.
I don't watch Rampage, so I have no idea what's going on.
No.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I judge anyone who watches Rampage, but
There's better things to do.
Go outside.
Yeah. So Hardys. What else do we have there?
oh, Adam Cole and Chris Jericho.
Adam Cole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jericho's on a bit of a losing streak.
And that's fine.
That
you know
is
what?
fine.
I actually, I always mention Jericho's one of my favorites, and people like the Smart Mark AEW fans definitely like, Jericho's over the hill now. It's like, nah, he's still a draw for a lot of casual wrestling fans. So
I mean, he still puts on great matches.
yeah, and I think this will be one of them. So I am excited for this match.
Is that it? The card?
So far,
Okay.
So, I
Probably getting Starks and Jay White. We
on
imagine
the buy-in maybe. Where's the
And-
House of Black?
we do need a trios house rules match.
Yeah, I don't think this pay-per-view looks that great.
No, it doesn't.
You want me to pay to watch the Hardy
It
Party?
will deliver. We know it will deliver, but yeah, it's kind of weak so far.
Yeah.
Well, let's move over to WWE. Got to admit, I didn't get a chance to catch much WWE this week, but we did have a little progression with the Bloodline, with Roman accidentally bumping into Solo Sikoa and showing fear in his face.
I know I'm not the only one because I heard a lot of people, I think you included, were saying like, hey, post-Mania, I think the Bloodline storyline's kind of cooling down. This was the jump the shark moment for me. I definitely, and I don't care anymore. I'm definitely over it. It's just so extra. They're trying, the littlest, tiniest things they're trying to stretch into, like they're turning, mountains into molehills, or the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, I audibly physically laughed when I watched the bumping into Sikoa thing. I'm like, come on, like you're reaching now. So you're being so extra. it still works. You know, the crowd reacted to it and stuff. I'm just like, now I see what everyone's kind of. I don't watch SmackDown and Raw still, but I watch via Twitter and YouTube clips, and it's doing great for them, the Bloodline story, but I'm definitely over it. I do think it is clear that it would have been a little bit more fresh and a bit more exciting if you did do the title swap, if you had other things going on. And I am going to tune into Night of Champions, not live, but like I'll watch sometime next week, try to somehow. And I think WWE's been on a roll, so I am interested in the pay-per-view. But when it comes to the Bloodline storyline, I can't say I'm as interested as I was.
So I'm with you. I wouldn't say it's jumped the shark. I still think it's kind of logical storytelling that they're saying. My problem is they need to finish a story before they move on to the next story. And that's what that's been the problem. I think the build to WrestleMania was great. But then you're doing, okay, the Cody story isn't really finished. They're still feuding with Kevin and Sami. The Usos, are they on the way out? Aren't they? And now you're sprinkling. It looks like they want to try and do a Batista Triple H thing with Roman and Solo, which is great. I love that they're getting behind Sikoa, and I think you can build this for a while. But it's getting dull because it's so stretched out now, and I don't know if there's ever an end in goal, like an end in mind now. Yeah. And I think this would have been so much more interesting with, you know, Roman losing the title, maybe blaming it on the Usos for not being there for him or something like that. And now Sikoa's kind of in that position where it's like, well, Roman, what do you have for us now? You know, and you can start that story. I think you can tell these same stories with the fracturing of the bloodline without Roman being champ and without this stupid secondary title and Cody facing Brock for this champion, for the undisputed.
Yeah, all that. I think of it like TV show, like comparing it to TV shows, like the better half of this year was really great storytelling from specifically Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and the Bloodline, the Usos and stuff. And it's like, I feel like we had our season's finale and then we came back early with the new season, and it's like we're just going back on.
I agree. I was thinking this earlier. I used to be a fan of the show Supernatural. Okay. And like first few seasons were pretty good. And
you fall into
then
tropes.
It would be like, okay, Dean dies and goes to hell, so Sam needs to go and get him from hell. So Sam goes next season and gets him back, but now Dean is changed, and now these two are fighting. And the whole series, they're like doing missions, but they're fighting. And then the end of the series, Sam dies and goes to hell. And the next series, Dean goes down there to get him back. And then they're fighting. And it's like, okay, we're doing the same story over and over again now to spread it out. And there was a point where you could watch SmackDown and get by just by these compelling Bloodline segments. And then you throw in a few matches here and there. Now I'm over that, and there's no real other story that's particularly interesting to me.
Yeah, and not knocking Sami and KO, but once they won the titles, it's like, well, great. Now you can't go anywhere else.
So what is your thing? I imagine Sami and KO retain, and
I can't
Solo
even believe
maybe
they're fighting in Saudi.
I know,
which is pretty crazy.
Solo maybe takes the fall.
Sure, maybe Roman takes the fall.
Again, that would be more interesting, wouldn't it?
And rematch Sami and get the title back on.
It's like Solo is the one that is like solid there.
Honestly, I'm sure the match would be pretty good, actually, that tag match. But I just, my interest in that whole bloodline, anything bloodline, I'm just actually, I like Roman's acting. We do a show called What's Next where we looked back all those years before when he was in the Shield. But remember that like 1 or 2 weeks,
the thoroughbred,
when he was the thoroughbred, when he was basically doing this Roman Reigns way before this. And we went, oh, he's a good actor. He's like amazing. And I still think that. But watching this week and some clips of that last week and just a few past weeks, I'm like, you're a good actor, but right now you're really overacting. Like, it's so...
The thing is, well, you got to remember is it is difficult in the in-ring stuff because you do have to project it to the arena. Sure. And you also have to do it on TV. And I think that's where those backstage segments have been great because the camera's right there and Roman can tell so much with like a side eye, a glance. That means a lot. In the ring, you want to tell this story to, the 500 section.
Right.
And that kind of thing. So I know what you mean. It was a little contrived. I do think it can come back. If you're telling,
sure.
And I like that they're getting behind Solo. I think he's been one of the best NXT call-ups we've seen.
For sure. He's instantly become a big deal, just being the muscle for Roman, who's a big deal right now. So yeah, I just am not as invested into it as much. But.
And do you have the Night of Champions card there?
Yeah, so I mean, that match is happening. I can't believe Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are wrestling in Saudi, but apparently they've worked out some sort of deal or something there. So they're wrestling the Bloodline. We got Gunther taking on Mustafa Ali, which I did not know was happening.
Okay.
That sounds amazing.
That would be great. I hate this gimmick Ali has at the moment. Positive Ali.
Really?
Yeah. But, we know Gunther versus smaller guy who is a good wrestler always works.
Yeah.
So I think this will be great. Gunther's winning.
450
obviously.
Countered into a chop.
Ooh, yeah.
Dead in the water right there. We got Bianca Belair taking on Asuka. Rematch for Mania. I think this will be even better than that match.
Yeah, the build is equally as bad as the previous match. But Bianca's winning. It's a kind of holdover feud, just retread from Mania. I think it'll be good though.
There's it's I don't know if it's involved, but the Liv Morgan's out with an injury, so they vacated the women's tag titles, and the story kind of is Bayley's like, okay, like Io and Dakota get back on, whereas after the hot show of Io at Backlash, I think the story there could make it a bit more interesting. I think they could do their own little bloodline thing with that.
It looks like it. They've been planting the seeds for Io and Bayley, which I think is great for both of them. I think Bayley needs something, and I think after that reaction from Io, you could make Io a fucking superstar. We know what she's capable of.
I can't wait till she's champion. That gets me watching all the time. So that will eventually happen, but I am interested in that just because that match, Io and Bianca, is one of my favorite matches this year.
And once Io is solidly in that mix, the matches she can have against Becky, Charlotte, Rhea, Bianca again, Asuka, she needs to move up into that mix for sure.
Yeah, for sure. There's also the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins.
Never Cody. Never finishing that story.
Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. I think it's Seth.
I think it's got to be Seth. He's the Raw guy as well. This is the Raw Championship.
This match will be great.
But this match sounds great.
Yeah, these two, obviously, they've had a match before and it was pretty good, but these two will absolutely kill it. I just don't care about this title.
It's going to take a lot to make this title mean something. I think these are the right two for the match to establish this championship. And it is a match that hasn't been overexposed in WWE, actually, I feel. I know they have faced, I can't really recall much of a feud between these two, so I think this will be pretty good.
It'll be really good. I'm just the runner-up title.
Yeah.
Who cares? Roman should just come out afterwards and go, wink. Just be like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, that's if it main events.
Yeah, I feel you've got to have this main event, but I don't think it will.
You have to, but they're not.
It's Night of Champions and it's a new title, but it's going to be the tag, right?
This is the cuck title.
Yeah.
This is you're not the guy. You ain't him title, but you know what? Thanks
bronze
for staying.
medal.
Thanks for staying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, bronze medal should be defended too. He's the longest reigning champion. Saudi Mania champion.
Oh, so Braun. I said bronze.
Yeah, but Braun Strowman.
Yeah, we need another Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he hasn't defended his title.
Yeah, his big green belt.
Yeah, he needs to defend it on this show.
Give that to Roman as well.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's Night of Champions next week during the day. So maybe we'll watch that.
Yeah, watch a bit before work.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's going on in WWE. You know what? Their pay-per-views, like I said, have been hitting. I was really impressed with Backlash.
Yeah, I think it will be really good. They've had such a good run of these pay-per-views. They're letting the people go out there and do what they're really good at. And you know what? This card doesn't look bad.
Yeah, no, it looks pretty good. The following night, obviously, NXT Battleground. The same night as Double or Nothing. We won't be doing a post show, but we will be going live sometime during the day, Monday, to talk all about Double or Nothing and NXT and all that stuff, as the world is ending outside apparently right now with all.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, lots of wrestling. You hear about, kind of on the topic of backlash, Bad Bunny saying he got hurt from his
really?
match. He's like, yeah, it was the best day of my life, but like I got fucked up, but like felt the adrenaline like
Right.
rushing through me, and like I wouldn't change anything. Like
Nice.
I loved it. So give all the flowers and credit to this guy who, I think it was that spot where is it him hitting the Falcon Arrow, or he gets hit with the Falcon Arrow like off the.
Oh, Priest hits him with the broken arrow.
I think it was.
off the set.
I think it was that
Probably.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just want to say, like,
He'll be all right.
that guy is killing it, because last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever this backlash was, I was saying this guy headlined Coachella, is like famously dating a Kardashian, does all this shit, shows up on wrestling, is then being memed at the basketball game, and then releases a song that instantly goes #1. Like, this guy is just like
Doing it all.
killing it right now. So I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll be back. Any other WWE news? Pretty Deadly made their debut on SmackDown this week.
Yes, boy.
From what I've seen, it's like the whole presentation from NXT. I think these guys are gonna
They'll do great.
do so well in this company. They went over against was it Butch and Ridge? Yeah, and they did their whole like chef thing going on. I think these guys are gonna be awesome.
They're totally made for WWE. Like we were talking earlier, it's all about sometimes the character and the talking more so than the actual wrestling. And the wrestling from these guys hasn't been great, but it's the everything else that has.
They're very Edge and Christian from 2000,
Yeah.
which is going to be so good for them.
Yeah, I am excited about them. I am also excited about Cameron Grimes going forward. Once they figure out what to do with him, he'll be amazing. He looks in insane shape. So super excited about
Need to figure out his character a bit. They've kind of dropped the sort of, money thing, although he still says to the moon.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah. Grayson Waller had the Grayson Waller effect this week.
Yeah. Good for him being on the main roster again. Another guy who's a really good talker and can wrestle, actually. I'm just not sure because having him just help promote like the world title match is kind of weird, because he had AJ on, right? So it's like,
Well, I think it's going to spin off for a feud with AJ after.
and he's got to beat AJ.
Yeah.
So
I think Waller, like from what I saw, it wasn't kind of. Normally he can be quite cutting. I didn't think his lines were that great this week, but the fact that they're giving him that show again with that presentation, I think they have high expectations with Waller.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him succeed, because I think he's pretty good. He definitely in the last year in NXT like really turned some heads. I think
he's picked it up for sure, but now that he's like in the bigger pond, it kind of makes you go, okay, well, how good are you?
Let's see how good you are.
Because there's some other people who are already there who are good.
I think he's very capable to break through.
I could see him be, especially the talking, right?
Yeah.
Like alone, that gets you far. So,
Any other news in wrestling? Superstar Billy Graham passed away this week.
we have a Billy Graham on the.
You have a Billy Graham?
I have a.
Is he on the naughty shelf?
Yeah, he's on the not so canceled. We have a canceled wrestler shelf.
Is it a
boys.
zombie Billy Graham?
It's not a zombie Billy Graham. It looks like it though. It's a black and white, first ever black and white figure. It's because this figure says 1 of 3,000. Because a lot of his matches aired on TV when it was in black and white, that they decided to make the black and white wrestling figures. So
Let's take him off the naughty shelf.
no, he's not on the. He's not on the. No, there's Marty and whoever that
Marty
is.
and
Yeah. We don't show those people on our set. Maven's not canceled, right?
No, Maven's gold.
So yeah, anyone who's interested in buying this from me, send me your offer. Look, it comes with a weight belt and a set of weights. Superstar Billy Graham. You know what? I actually love a lot of his promos. This week was a good time to dive into them, and obviously shout out John Pollock from Post Wrestling, who is the absolute best just in anyone who covers wrestling. He's our friend. We're seeing him in like an hour or so.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, John Pollock is amazing. And it's such a weird thing. I'm not saying I'm happy when wrestlers pass away, but when wrestlers do, I instantly go to Post. I instantly wait for what John has to like put up about that person.
So you can, especially these like
older
a
generations.
superstar Billy Graham. Like I've heard that name so many times. I can't say I've ever watched a match of his or anything. I know his influence and how he kind of, like Hogan, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was meant to be Hogan essentially, and then injuries and whatever, and they went with old Tell. But yeah, it is kind of a a positive out of a sad situation when these things happen, when you as a wrestling fan can be like, you know what, I'm gonna learn about this guy. And that's what we've done on shows like Best Match Ever, where not necessarily someone's passed away, but I think back to things like, you know what, we should watch some Arn and Tully matches. We hear a lot about that. We should go and check that out. And it's always been fun when we've gone back and like covered those blind spots. And as you said, John Pollock is like the best at writing these career retrospectives and everything.
And listening to him talk about it as well. He just always gives people their flowers and their shine, whether, you know, on the good side and bad side. He's very like unbiased, and I love that. But it inspired me to go watch some Superstar Billy Graham promos and clips this week, and like, yeah, there's a specific promo where he's, you know, the power tower of power and too sweet, like so many lines that, you know, Hogan would take, that Macho would take, like so many wrestlers were like influenced by this guy, and he just seemed like some bloke who's like, I need to dress crazy and stand out, and that's exactly what he did. And look where that, like, where wrestling took that from. So I mean,
even the term WWE, they're not wrestlers, they're superstars, right?
Like Billy Graham. Yeah. So like, I always, when I got into wrestling, characters, and that is something that drew me to it. And I remember, I don't think I have it anymore, but there was a WWE DVD that they put out on him, like, again, best of promos and kind of explaining like this guy was influential in what wrestling became. But just watching clips from like years before Hulkamania, and he's talking about like, you know, largest arms, my python, you know, all this shit, and you're like, that's oddly suspicious.
I mean, the whole look at him.
Hogan definitely jacked his steez for sure. Like, he was like, oh, I like that, I'm gonna do that. So you got to give this guy like his flowers.
100%.
The talking alone. So go look up some promos if you're not too familiar.
Anything else in that? We did catch what we saw, Mike Bailey versus Hiromu, right? From
Best of the Super Juniors. Yeah, I got to catch up a little bit on that. I'm not too like worried. I definitely cherry pick. Shout out Eric Marcotte, who was telling us which matches to cherry pick, but also postwrestling.com for all that stuff. But I definitely will catch up. I love Hiromu. I love Speedball, getting some rub there. There's a few of the other names though are the same guys who are always in it. Yeah, and I am expecting a bit more like difference. And I think me and you were watching it the other day, and I think Hiromu and Despy are people that don't necessarily need to be in this. Yeah, they could be like doing other stuff in New Japan, bigger deals. I think specifically Hiromu, that guy could be main eventing.
I think in the G1, like, it would really freshen up the G1 to have one or both of those guys in it. I think Despy as well, definitely. But yeah, enjoyed that match. Definitely, if you've got some recommendations from Best Super Juniors, let us know at Poisonrana Pod.
Yeah, especially like a guy like Robbie Eagles is in it. He's been killing it apparently, and like, he's someone who's been showing up. Ring of Honor, the AEW stuff, crossover. They've been doing a lot of crossover. They have Zack Sabre Jr. with his cookie rolling tray title tin thing, challenging Samoa Joseph to a match. That might be the Forbidden Door match. Samoa Joe versus Zack Sabre Jr., right? Like, I would imagine Zack Sabre Jr. takes on Danielson in Wembley.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with the Wembley show, because I think you do want, like, as a fan, I want to see Ospreay and Zack on it. But also you've got to be, like, mindful of your locker room as well, especially over a time where, you know, like, the locker room there hasn't been harmony there. And I can totally see some people getting a bit miffed if you've got these people not in the company taking big spots on that show. But as a fan, yeah, I'd absolutely love to see Zack and Ospreay on that show.
Yeah, I do too. I think that would definitely make it even special, being, you know, and maybe Nigel's on the show. Look the way things are looking lately. But no, Ring of Honor is cool that they're bringing in, like, you know, GCW guys, Ring of Honor, New Japan guys, and mixing people in on that show. So I do check out that show, like Ray Phoenix, Ringo Loco, fucking awesome. So like, there is lots of wrestling everywhere, no matter where, and you'll find it and seek it out and cherry pick and this and that. And there's so much wrestling is crazy booming. $1 billion TV deals, $7 million
allegedly,
plus gates.
Nothing being announced.
Yeah, but still, it's like, it's just so crazy, like all this like wrestling, and it's just gonna keep getting bigger. So it's a good time to be a fan, because there's so much to soak in. So thank you guys for listening to us, and let us know what wrestling we need to be checking out and stuff. We are going to be live this Tuesday with NXT over on the Post Wrestling feed for upNXT, chatting all about some predictions for Battleground, which is this next Sunday. So we won't be going live after, but we will be going live Monday during the day to talk all about it and maybe some Double or Nothing chat as well. Yep. So find us on the Post Wrestling feed for our Battleground / Double or Nothing chat over next Monday. And then, of course, eventually the finale of the sesh will come out over on the feed as well. But that might take a few days before that. So yeah, lots of wrestling, Night of Champions talk, I'm sure, as well. So we won't be going live Sunday, but we will be going live on Monday. Yeah. And then, of course, you can always hear more of us on our patreon.com/Poisonrana for all the podcasts that we do over there. And
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening to us ramble on. Go touch grass if that makes you happy. I love touching grass.
It's nice.
Nothing better than bare feet on grass.
Hay fever sucks, though.
Oh, the worst. Yeah. You know what else sucks?
What? Getting punched in the balls at your workplace? Yeah, that sucks as well.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Poisonrana Pod. And you can find myself, Brain Herrington, on Twitter, Instagram at TheBrayD.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And I love you.
Ahoy!
Poisonrana.